I have a really exciting announcement for you guys. But before I tell you what it is, you guys know that we've been kind of talking about, my husband and I have been talking about adoption now for a while. You guys know why I do adoptions is because I love kids and I really want, kids who don't have a home to be placed in safe family. So today I'm just going to be getting ready and just kind of talk to you guys a little bit about kind of what we're doing as a family. So, we've talked about so many different ways that we want to bring a child into our family. I made a video, you can see it right here. I made a video, I think it was in January, about how we had decided we're going to do international adoption. And the reason why we were looking down that road was because I'm originally from Benin, West Africa, and I've always wanted to adopt from some country in Africa. And so I just really had it on my heart to adopt a baby girl from, somewhere, some country in Africa. I looked into adopting from my own country, Benin, and right now they're completely closed to international adoption. So I couldn't go down that road. We looked into a few other countries and we just had been kind of sitting on it for a while. In my program that I teach, the Adoption Success Accelerator, that's one of the first things that I tell people to do is really, you need to really understand or choose the route that you want to go. And my husband and I, we weren't really in a hurry to adopt, but we wanted to. And so we had been kind of thinking about it on and off now for quite a while and just looking at different options. Like I said, we landed on international adoption and then we decided, well, maybe not, because then COVID happened and that kind of changed everything. A lot of people that I knew, friends and families who had adopted internationally, were having issues going down to the country to get their kid back. And so we just thought, well, maybe, before 2020, international adoption would have been a good thing, like if we had actually, done it. But now we're just kind of like, okay, now we really want to start looking into adoption. Our youngest is about 6 years old now, and so we don't want to keep waiting. We thought about it since our third son was born 6 years ago, and we kind of waited. We wanted to wait for him to be a little bit older before we adopted because we wanted to adopt a kid younger than him. So we had been thinking about it. When I was pregnant with our second son, which was back in 2014, we actually started going through the foster care parent. No, actually, we looked into foster care at that point because foster care has always been on my heart. As you guys know, if you've been watching my channel for a while, I worked in juvenile court for a few years and, just was a lawyer for foster children, the parents, and all that kind of thing. You guys can watch this video right here to learn more about that story. But anywho, so I had worked in foster care for so long and I really had a heart for foster kids, always have. And so I thought, why don't we just become foster parents? Because there are so many kids that need homes. Even though I was giving back to the community by actually doing these cases in juvenile court, I really wanted to be able to parent and be a safe home for foster children instead of just being a professional in the field. You know what I mean? And so anywho, we looked into that back in 2014 and I was pregnant with our second. My first boy was 3 years old or something. And basically they told us, the agency we were looking through to become foster parents, they basically told us, well, you guys have a baby right now, you have a 3-year-old. We would recommend that you wait a little bit longer before you become foster parents. So I was so disappointed, it was really good advice. Looking back, I'm so glad they told us that and that we didn't start something that, would have been devastating for our family. So I kind of just put it on the back burner for a long time because I thought, man, that was just really crushing. Like we were all excited and like called the agency, they came to our house doing a visit and all that kind of thing so we could start the training. They were like, actually, we don't think you guys should do the class yet anyway, because your kids are so young. So anywho, we put that on the back burner. I kept working in juvenile court for a few years and then I just thought, like what I'm doing right now is fine. I'm helping kids doing that. I am representing them in juvenile court. I'm still giving my time away from my family, and so that's fine. And then I found out about Teen Reach Adventure Camp, which is a summer camp that is put on by this organization called Teen Rich Adventure Camp that put on these camps for foster kids who are teenagers. I think it's like 11 to 14 or something like that. And so I found out about that through my church, and I thought, oh, that's great. I can actually volunteer and be in a role that's not professional with these kids. Like, because as a juvenile court lawyer, whenever I'd go to families' homes, I'm going as a lawyer. And so, people just kind of whenever you have a professional coming to your home, there is a wall that comes up. It's really hard to connect with folks when they know that you're there because you're professional, And so anyway, I really wanted an opportunity to be able to just hang out with the kids without the title of the lawyer or whatever. And so I found out about this camp and I got so excited. And so I volunteered to be, like a counselor at the camp, I don't know, maybe 4 years ago. And it was such a long time ago. And I went and, oh my gosh, you guys, it was so amazing. It was so amazing. I had so much fun with the kids. They had no idea I was a lawyer, which was even better. And so we just had fun. And so I talked my husband into doing it with me like 2 years later. And so my husband and I both did it together. So they have a girls' camp and a boys' camp, so that there's no craziness going on, teenagers. And so it was so, so fun. And so I really enjoyed being able to do a part of the foster kids' lives without, not being in a professional setting. And it was just kind of my thing, I really loved it. So eventually I decided that I didn't want to work in juvenile court anymore, because it was a lot of drama and because I believed that the system was failing the children. And right here, you'll see in this video, I talk about all of my foster care case failures. But anyway, there was one in particular that really caused me to actually quit working in juvenile court altogether. And maybe another time I'll tell you guys that story. But anyway, so I decided to stop working in juvenile court. And ever since then, I have really been just wanting to figure out how I can still hang out with those kids like I did at the camp, without that professional title type of thing. And so my husband and I started kind of talking about foster care again. And it was kind of like, like we really want to adopt. We had the opportunity to adopt a newborn actually just like 3 months ago. It was a self-matching thing, random connection. And we were like, oh my gosh, maybe we'll get to adopt a baby. And then we thought about it. We're like, you know what? We don't really want to adopt a baby. Like we've already done the baby thing. We just really want to give a safe home to kids. So my point in telling you guys this whole thing is that we have really been putting thought into this for years and years and years. We've looked into all of our options. We looked into international adoption and really, really thought through the implications of that. We looked into foster care and it was kind of an on and off thing. We're like, yeah, we'll do it, maybe not, just because our kids were young and all that kind of thing. Then we looked into a newborn adoption. And that one seemed really promising to us. So we started looking into that really seriously this year, actually. And then, like I said, an opportunity came, and then you just kind of, I'll tell you guys more about that story another time. Let's just say it didn't work out, but it's great because the mom, I believe the grandparents are going to take care of the baby. So it's all good. But I'll tell you guys that story another time. And so we have finally come back full circle to foster care. Okay. And so after we thought through all of the options and all the things that we talked about all these years and kind of what our passion really, really was, for me specifically, it was really to be a safe home for kids in need. And so we finally landed on foster care, and we decided that that's what we're going to do. Now, we are really more looking into foster to adopt. And if you see this video right here, I kind of give you guys the difference between foster care adoption, foster to adopt, and foster care, okay? We are going to be doing foster to adopt. And so we've already let our agency know that that's what we want to do, just like I recommend that you guys do if you want to adopt out of foster care. In some states, if you say that you want to foster to adopt, some of the agencies will actually only match you with kids who are more likely where the parents' rights will be terminated, so that you have a better chance to actually adopt those kids. So which is pretty cool. But anywho, so we decided we're going to do foster care, and we're hoping to adopt from foster care. And what we kind of figured was, if it doesn't work out and adoption doesn't become a thing, then that's fine, because we're more than happy with just having our kids really also be a part of the process of being a safe family for children, and for them to understand that we want to be a home that's open, where we're helping our community and the families around us. And if an adoption happens, great. If not, our hearts are more to really help our community. And so that's kind of where we landed. So we actually started our training. Big announcement, we started our training last week. And so we started the TIPS MAP training is what it's called. It's 11 weeks long. And I just thought I wanted to go on this journey with you guys and kind of show you the journey of going through foster care parent training and what that looks like here in Nebraska specifically, okay? So we had our very first class last week. Everything was on Zoom. Because after COVID, they started the online trainings and now they decided just going to leave it that way. The agency that we're going through is called Christian Heritage. The reason why, and there's a lot of different foster care agencies here in Nebraska, but the reason why we picked Christian Heritage specifically was because I used to work with Christian Heritage, because I used to be one of the foster care specialists. So my role was like when you would become a foster parent and you had the license through Christian Heritage, I was one of those who would be your buddy. So I would kind of be the specialist assigned to your home. So I'd come to your home, I'd make sure that you're okay. If you had any issues with your foster kid, I was the one to call and I'd be there to help you out. So that was my role. And I did that for, I don't know, probably 2 years or so. So I just really enjoyed working with Christian Heritage. They're a Christian organization. And so they really have Christian beliefs, Christian values, and we're a Christian family. And so it was just a really great fit. So we decided to go back to them to get our license. And so I want to show you guys what happened with our very first week of training last week, what we had to do. And so let's go. All right, guys. So for the first class last week, it was just an introduction class. And so we got to meet all of the other families who are also going through the foster care training. The classes are from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. every Monday for the next 11 weeks. So we're taking Memorial Day weekend off and we're taking July 4th off. Okay. Other than that, it's Mondays from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And so last Monday, what we did was, again, go through an introduction that talked about what the training is about. It was really kind of like a get to know you session and what to expect. So they had some forms that they wanted us to fill out and just kind of go over before we got on the call. And so if you guys look at this website right here, this is basically the website where they house everything that we'll be doing every single week. And so every week there's kind of homework for us to do before we get on the training, so that way when we're talking about the assignments and stuff, that we know what we're talking about. And so as you guys can see, there is quite a bit that we're doing for the next 11 weeks. So as you guys can see, for week 1, we didn't really have much to do. But one of the things that they wanted us to do was to go over our self-study form. There was a household study form, and then there's a health information sheet that we have to get filled out. So here is what the self-study kind of questionnaire looks like. And also, here's kind of what the household study looks like right here. So really the point of those 2 documents is for them to get to know you. And they asked this really good question during the training last week. One of the trainers said, so how well would you need to get to know me before you let your kid live with me for 15 months? And I was just like, I don't think that I would ever let my kids stay with you for 15 months, no matter how well I know you. I'd probably let my kids stay with a family member if I had to be gone for that long, but 15 months is a long time. But this is her point. Like, maybe you guys know this, maybe you don't, but the average that kids stay in foster care in general is about 15 months, okay? That's why that 15-month time period is also how long the judges usually give to the biological parents to kind of get their act together. That's a year and a half, okay? Or 15 months. No, that's like a year and 3 months. I'm like, oh my gosh, my math. Okay, so 15 months. And so that's a long time for a kid to be in foster care, to be in a stranger's home. And so there's been a big push over the last few years to really keep the kids in kinship care with, aunties and uncles and grandparents and things like that. As you guys already know, family is always going to take first place because we want the kids to be as comfortable as possible. But if that's not possible, then they get into foster care with strangers like us. And so thinking through that question, I just thought, oh my goodness, I've met and talked to a lot of these parents and have understood a lot of their fears and stuff, but thinking through the lens of how well do you need to know me? Like, you just met me today. So we're talking about these strangers in this class that we just met for the first time. And she was like, so, you know my name, you know how, that I have a kid. Like, how much more do you need to know me before you let your kid stay with me for 15 months? And I just was thinking, that is a really good question. So the point of those self-study and household study forms that they were explaining to us is to really get to know us as families. They're like, we want to know you guys so well that when we get calls in for kids who need a foster home, we can say, hey, the Bundy household is going to be a great one because we've gotten to see them for 11 weeks. We got to read over their self-study form. We got to come over to their house and visit with them. So we know them a little bit, like well enough to say, yeah, this kid will do well in this home. And so these self-study forms are going to take us weeks to fill out because they really go into detail about, like who you are, what you like, how you like to discipline, things like that. They really want to get to know you and your style and your belief systems and things like that. And then the health information form, as you guys, this is the form right here that they gave us. That form is, we need to take it to the doctor and have them fill out that bottom portion. But that form is to make sure that you don't have any medical issues. Obviously, that's going to stop you from properly fostering these kids, okay? So that's all we've had to do so far. The last thing that we had to do is our fingerprints. Side note, we started foster care training actually back in 2020 because we were like, let's do it. So we did it. And then we kind of had to stop because of the whole bedroom situation where we're trying to figure out, we have 3 kids, as you guys probably know, and we have 2 bedrooms for them. So we're trying to figure out, what do we do? Put all of our kids in one room and then the foster kid stays in the other room, or do we share? Do we want to foster boys? So it was just kind of like this whole discussion that my husband and I just hadn't had. I don't know why we didn't. We just hadn't had. And so when we're going through the training, we decided, okay, let's pause the training. Let's kind of go over this again and re-talk through this entire situation with our house and how we kind of want to move things around. And then we'll go back through the training. So we did in 2020 and stopped. And now we're back. And now we know for sure what we want to do. And so for all of you who have been kind of thinking about adoption for a while or foster care, you're kind of like making a decision and then changing your mind. You know what? I'm doing the same thing, and I've been in the adoption field for so many years and worked in foster care for so many years, and we still had to work through so many kinks and things like that to really feel comfortable and excited and really for sure that this is what we want to do. And so I really encourage all of you to do the same. Take your time to really think through the options so that you can decide which one you want to do. Okay, back to the story. Fingerprints. That's one of the things that they really talked about doing as soon as possible, just because your fingerprints can take anywhere, usually from 6 to 8 weeks for the state patrol office to process them and to send them over to your foster care office. And so they just recommend that you do that right away. So I just got my husband and I scheduled to do our fingerprints again. We did it in 2020 to do it again this time around. And so far, that's all we've had to do for the very first class, okay? So what I would love to do here, you guys, is really document our entire 11-week journey, because now that we're really sure that's what we want to do and we're really going into this, we're really excited about doing it. We just want to walk you guys through this journey. And so for those of you who are in Nebraska and you're wondering what the foster care training is like, hopefully these videos will really be helpful, okay? So that's it for today, guys. I hope that was helpful to you. I'm going to put the link down there about our foster care agency that we're using, Christian Heritage, if you guys want to go check them out. For those of you who are not in Nebraska, if you're interested in foster care, definitely you can call the foster care agencies in your state and kind of ask them what kind of training they're doing and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know if this is the same type of training they have all over the United States, but I've heard from a lot of you on social media that the TIPS MAP training is pretty common. And so, like I said, I will keep you guys updated on our progress and wish us good luck. All right, thanks guys. Bye-bye.